Thank you for joining us on another edition of The Opinion. The Opinion is where we discuss issues that has to do with humans and how to contribute to national development and, of course, within our society. Recently, the Supreme Court have given their judgment concerning local government autonomy, and it is certain that, yes, every local government chairman is actually happy now. But then, what role will the citizen as well play? What role will this local government chairman as well will play? And of course, to the state governors for the betterment of the society. My name is Jonathan Le Rama, welcoming you to today's edition of The Opinion. And today, my guest will be a legal practitioner. He is also a former lecturer that takes law courses at the Federal Polytechnic, Bida. Welcome back from that break. The program is The Opinion. Just before the break, I was trying to introduce my guest, who is a legal practitioner, because we'll be discussing about the local government autonomy. My guest today is Barrister Edward Dauda. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Now, Barrister, let's quickly start. How do you feel when the Supreme Court passed the judgment that local government should be left alone?
So happy, so great a judgment, something that has never happened for the last recent years. The Supreme Court has done a very laudable act, and it ought to be praised. It has not happened for several years now, and it is so glorious. I believe that this is a beginning of a new day. Any law that is being pronounced by the Supreme Court, it remains the law of the land. It is the grand norm. It is the alter ego. You can't contest it, because the only place you can go after the Supreme Court is God. So they have done the correct thing. And like we are trying to say, that what has happened now is that for the first time, local government have been given full autonomy. They have been given the right to operate on their own, shy of interference from anybody.
Now, is it actually a right step for Nigeria?
Very well, very well. It has been long overdue. If you go back history, when we were born, we saw native authorities. They were being operated. They had native police. They had native ways of doing things. And that was, we are talking about 60s, 60s, 50s, 60s. We saw those kind of things. Then later, in 1976, 1975-76, when Ibrahim Babangida came, did local government reforms under a military regime. Okay, so but we started from there. We saw a new objective of new local government reform. The whole idea was to bring government nearer to the people. Then later in 1919, that constitution of that year within the Fourth Republic took over the whole local governments, 704 of them, gave them constitutional rights. So now they operate with a constitutional provision. Nobody can contest their existence. And they were supposed to operate free from the whims and caprices of governor. Unfortunately, as times go by, our governors became so powerful. And we saw them, aggrandizing power on these local governments. And we saw them, exhibiting power on this local government. One simple thing they did was what they created, joint account. We later hearing about joint account. They were using all the accounts of local government must that time go through the governor. And the governors were becoming so much powerful. They became people that, they were like Pharaoh of a kind. They are the one that put someone, they are the one that sacked. The higher power to hire and fire was with them. Even for you to be elected as a member or as a local government chairman, you cannot get there without the blessing of your governor. And you will see that as time go by, when elections take place, the ruling party of that state, if it is one party ruling backed by the governor, that is the party that will win every local government. And it has remained so up till this day, until just within these few days when Supreme Court has made this laudable declaration. I hope that it can be carried further.
Now you just make mention of even the governors and of course
Yes.
the party. Now, how would the relationship now look like for local government? Now it's just as if the local government chairman now is actually serving like the governor of the state. So what kind of relationship would you expect?
In Nigeria, we have three levels of government: the federal government, the state government, and the local government. The three of them ought to be separated, not matched together. They should allow this local government to operate on their own. They should be given the right to operate on their own and do things, with the capacity that God has given them. But they keep on saying, if we give them money, they will spend it. They will not be accountable. They will not be reliable. And I think those are lazy answers. I call them lazy answers.
But former governor of Ekiti State, Fayoshe, is actually saying that local government chairman cannot operate without the governor.
Well, I find that's left for him. I have respect for Fayoshe, and I think it's his own opinion. My opinion is that if they are given, number one, constitutional provision, let's have a constitutional backing. Let us carry this judgment into the constitution. Let's see the spirit of that judgment, bring it to a constitution, keep it to play. If there are things we ought to correct and write down now, once they have a constitutional backing, they can work. The constitution is the grand norm. Even with the judgment and there is no constitutional backing, there is still a problem. These governors are going to come back and temper with this local government one other way. They are not short of ways to come and temper with the local government. So don't think that the fight is over. The fight has just begun.
For local government
Yes, it has just begun.
Now, does it mean that it actually creates a kind of hatred between them and the local government?
You see,
since
if
they are still under the state?
I look at it from morality. What does the law say? What is morally good and what is morally bad? Morality talks about good and bad. What is good is anybody elected should be henceforth given power to do what he says he will do. I was elected on the basis of promises I made to my people. You can't get me there and say I should execute another format. Allow me to execute what I promised to execute. Now, we have been given, with this declaration, they have been given wherewithal. The money has now come to them, I believe. The money will come to them directly. And of course, Supreme Court have said, any local government where we don't have elected people, the money will not get there. So those 482 or so who are not elected but appointed chairmen, they won't get that money. And I think that's a good beginning. Let it be the 774, let them all be elected chairmen. And if they are elected chairmen, they should be given the money. And you have to give somebody a trial rather than saying, if I give him money, he will waste it.
Now, definitely, the gains now will be much for the local government, because definitely they are also going to contribute to the development of the state and the country in general. So what are the kind of gains should local government be putting through for the federal government as well?
I expect a plethora of gains. There should be an average of gain, because definitely if you have given so much, somebody money, let's imagine I was getting 300 million at the end of the month, and you now give me 900 million. You will expect some performance, And if I'm a serious person, and I'm responsible and accountable, I should do some performance. Before the complaints of local government is shortage of funds. They can't even make culvert. They can't paint a building. They will tell that they don't have funds. Once they pay salary, there is nothing remaining. So, number one, they must not increase their wage bill. It's not a grant to increase their wage bill. Number two, they must learn to manage what is now given to them. Then number three, proper and adequate supervision. We needed to upgrade our supervision now. The more money is given to somebody, you must check him. There must be check and balances. And we must bring it to bear in local government management. Chairmen should be monitored. They can't be allowed to get loose and do what they like.
All right, the program is still The Opinion on Amare TV. We'll be right back after this timeout. Stay with us. Welcome back. The program is still The Opinion on Amare TV, and I still have Barrister Edward Dauda. He is a legal practitioner, and he has been doing justice to the topic of discussion today, which happens to be local government autonomy. And Barrister, just before the break, I was trying to ask the kind of role that is expected from the citizens, because definitely, yes, every citizen within a local government now will say, yes, we have our own liberty, but what kind of role do you think these citizens will as well play for this autonomy to be successful when it comes to local government?
Okay. So, obviously, citizens have a role to play. And I think we must learn to believe that government belongs to us. We're the owners of the government. So if we see a government official misbehaving, we can check him. We can say, no, you are living above your means. Of course, I have mentioned 3 or 4 ways we can be checking the chairman. Number one, I mentioned a constitutional provision. There must be something spelled out clear, black and white in constitution. Number 2, we must also check the method that they come into power. What I mean, how they were elected. Where did they get money to contest? Who sponsored them? Whose funds did they use? That process is critical, because in Nigeria they will say they want to pay back. This is where I took my money, I ought to pay back. We don't want to be hearing that type of story. So let us check right from the beginning, before they are even elected, then their credibility. Are they credible candidates? Then number 3, we must get a security check. I am suggesting that EFCC, should post 2 or 3 officers in each local government, and their work is to checkmate the chairman. It will not be one person; he can be corrupted. But let's get 2 or 3 matured officials near the chairman to checkmate him. If we see signs of excesses, so there can be a cry out. Can there be a recall? Can the citizens recall him and say, this man is not performing, we are recalling him out of office? It will put him on check. We still have a recall. Recall is constitutional provided. You can use it. You can recall an elected person and say, we don't want him, he's not performing, and we need another person. And let's challenge them this time and say, let them do. I think that's what the Supreme Court is saying. Go and perform your task and do it judiciously.
Now, what kind of challenges do you think this local government chairman will definitely face when it comes to operating?
You see, the first challenge, whoever will be a local government chairman, like I said, the issue of credibility. When you get there and you see plenty of money, chances are you will become mad. You begin to behave, like a spoiled child. And I think we need to check him from the beginning. Like I said, he will face that challenge. If he doesn't do it well, like I said, let him know that he can be recalled. Let power go back to people. The people can order his recall. The people can order his impeachment and say, we want this man impeached. He is not performing. And it will work.
Now, what kind of role, how active do you want this local government chairman? What kind of zeal are you expecting? Or what kind of zeal do you expect to put in?
We must be thinking of devolving or devoluting power from the center to the lower units. Let Abuja be seen less. Up till now, everything is still centralized. And then let the governors also be seen less. Let it be the chairman. Let him be the one near people, receiving all the cries of the people. Not everything you say a governor. This road school have been done by a local government chairman. This school that, you have buildings falling down, they can be repaired by a local government chairman if he has funds and if he's responsible. Think of what I can do for my locality, and honestly, this country will grow. Most countries, they started their growth. Even the production you are mentioning is from the locality.
Exactly.
And the problem of Nigeria is we refuse to produce. We are not a producing country. No matter what you do, if you are not producing, you'll be going down and down and down. If you don't produce, even if you do a minimum wage, it will amount to nonsense. Because you don't produce. You only cause inflation in the market.
Exactly.
Once you add salary, everything will inflate. You will be carrying plenty money. It doesn't bring you anything.
Now, every economy needs to be revived from the local government.
Local government, yes. That's the nucleus.
I must appreciate your time, Barrister Edward Dauda. And hopeless, when we call on you, you oblige us.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
And that's about the size of today's edition of The Opinion, where we take a close look at local government autonomy. And for the local government chairman, the incoming or the already seated one, know that you have a role to play, because it's now time for every citizens to actually monitor all your activities. God bless Nigeria.